The night was thick with the sound of urgency and fear as the guards roughly led Jesus away from the courtyard. A lone figure, cloaked and hesitant, kept a careful distance, his heart clearly tied to the man being taken. That man was Peter, his devotion battling intensely with a sudden overwhelming sense of dread. He finally reached a courtyard where a small fire crackled, offering a deceptive sense of warmth and normalcy. Peter tried to blend in with the servants and soldiers, loitering in the shadows, warming his hands. Then, a young servant girl looked his way, her gaze sharp, pointing him out with a knowing look. She spoke loudly enough for the nearby people to hear. "You were with that Nazarene, weren't you?" His stomach instantly clenched. This was the moment he always feared, and he immediately lied. "I don't know what you are talking about." The group murmured, some convinced, others skeptical, but Peter quickly stepped away towards a darker corner. He tried to slow his breathing, but the cold night air felt heavy, and accusation seemed to cling to everything. Moments later, another person spotted him near the gate, recognizing his Galilean accent from his speech. This time, the accusation was more forceful. "Surely, you are one of them. You sound like you are from the region of Galilee." Panic flared in Peter's eyes. He shook his head violently and raised his hands in desperate refusal. With a harsher, louder voice than the first time, he vehemently declared, "Man, I have no idea what you are talking about, truly." He backed away further, still weaving through a group of stable hands who were quietly observing the turmoil. The air grew colder, and the flames seemed to offer less comfort as suspicion followed him like an invisible chain. He attempted to act like a common passerby, but his posture screamed guilt and his eyes darted everywhere. Then, a third person approached, someone who knew him from the marketplace, their voice filled with certainty. This time, there was no room for doubt in their voice as they stated plainly, "But I saw you with him in the garden earlier today." The sound of the voice broke something fundamental inside Peter, pushing him past denial and into raw desperation. He started to shout, this time employing oaths and curses, desperately trying to sever any connection to Jesus. He swore by anything sacred that he did not know the man they were speaking about, his voice cracking with fear. The air was still for just a beat after his final, wretched denial, the weight of his words settling heavily around him. Then, piercing the heavy night air, came the unmistakable, sharp, and utterly damning sound of a rooster crowing. That single, piercing sound struck Peter like a physical blow, instantly washing away his fear with staggering clarity. He remembered the words Jesus had spoken to him just hours before, spoken with a gentle, sad certainty. The realization hit him with the force of a tidal wave, crushing his pride and exposing his terrible failure. His strong shoulders slumped forward, the fight draining out of him, leaving only the wreckage of his broken vow. He could not look at the fire or the faces anymore. He had to flee the scene of his profound shame. Peter stumbled away from the courtyard, moving blindly into the deeper shadows of the surrounding structures. Once hidden, the immense weight of his triple betrayal finally overcame him, and he began to weep uncontrollably. These were not tears of simple regret, but bitter sobs racking his body with overwhelming guilt and sorrow. The sounds of the city continued distantly, indifferent to the private catastrophe unfolding in the darkness there. He was utterly broken, realizing how fragile human strength truly is when faced with moments of real pressure. It was a moment of absolute human weakness, the kind we all fear when our resolve is truly tested. Yet, even in this crushing moment, there was the quiet promise of a hope far greater than his own failure. That mercy, the kind that sees past our denials and waits patiently for our return, remains the ultimate truth. Repentance is not about erasing the mistake, but about allowing the love that endures to heal the deep wound. Think about that human frailty and the limitless capacity for grace that waits on the other side of our darkest hours. We all have our moments where we fail the ones we love most, and that's where true change begins.